Um, the present moment. You have a video about that as well. And we all know about it, that it's very important to stay in the present moment. But can you talk a little bit about why it's so important? Because I remember you said we're actually creating our future in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a mind-boggling concept. And when I was first trained by my guides, they would have me work with someone and they would show me their past lives. So someone would come in with something they wanted to work on. And I would sit there and just watch movies of their past lives, and it would all be related to that issue. And it would be more deeply related to that issue until they showed me the core of when it started. And just that experience would help heal it. And I remember one time they showed me something that was so horrible to see, such a tragedy, that I said in my head, stop, I don't want to see anymore. And they said to me, no, you're going to watch this because you're here to have love for this situation where it wasn't possible before. And I thought about that. There I am in my apartment in LA, safe, healthy, and having someone sitting in front of me that wants to heal. They don't know anything about this past life experience that went on. They're just having some trouble in their life now that was related to it. And I thought, really, I can't endure seeing that when this person wants healing? Absolutely. I will sit there and love that experience. And that's the past coming into that present moment where the person's having some kind of experience that's related to something they have no idea about. And that moment of love in the now shifts their energy field and heals that past. Then my guide started showing me the same thing with the future, which honestly was much more mind-boggling. Okay. That as we're sitting there in that present moment, they would show me the future like tracks. So let's say someone was holding a lot of resentment towards their parents and how they were raised and things that happened in their childhood. What it does is that anger and that resentment holds their energy field into a certain groove. So they have a natural path that they're going to take in life. And all of these experiences will come in offering them an opportunity to resolve it, but they may not take those. Because it's, again, like listening to the news. If I'm just looking at the bad stuff or the stuff that's really loud rather than going deeper. So it's the same with that future, that when they're sitting there in the present moment wanting to heal something, that release of that resentment changes their energy field and they now have an opportunity to take a new track. So all of those futures are already there. That was how it started getting so mind-boggling for me. All of those possibilities were already there. It just was a matter of what were they going to do in the present moment that was going to shift their track. So that present moment then has the past in it and it has the future in it. So it's where our power is. And the brain perceives time linearly as if there's a past and as if there's a future. And I still do that, even having had these experiences. But the truth is, they're all simultaneous. That's why they could show me all of those pasts were already there. It still boggles my mind. But I can logically understand how in this present moment, when I make a choice, I'm healing something from the past and I'm shifting something in the future. So here's where our power is. And Eckhart Tolle, of course, talks about this a lot, the power of now. He does that beautifully, where you don't really need. The other thing my guides did was they stopped showing me those past life movies. Okay. And I remember one day where I was like, okay, and nothing would come. And I'm like, hello, show me the movies. I've got somebody here. And they were saying to me, you don't need those anymore. So the stories were only necessary for my learning, and they'll come in now if it's necessary for someone's learning, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. But we don't have to figure out everything from the past or figure out everything from the future. When you, in this present moment, get into that place of peace, your energy field is entirely different and things synchronize with it. So we've all heard about synchronicities and, whoa, this thing happened. I just heard about that and there it is. that is just an alignment of energy. So it's already there. And what happens is when you get into that peaceful, open state, boop, you line up with it. And that's when that you start to get to see over and over again the universe supporting you. You start to see those clues much more often because you're like, wow, the thing that I wanted to create just walked into my life. And I didn't have to run up a hill to get it. I didn't have to think it through. I just had to continually look for that peace in the now moment. It's confusing sometimes because we think, I want to create that silver Honda. And so I need to think silver Honda, silver Honda, silver Honda.
Yeah, the secret.
Yes. And actually, all you need to do is think, I love life. I love myself. I love this person. I love this tree. I love this animal. Whatever can get you there brings that silver Honda into alignment.
But you have to ask or let the universe know that you want it. Or do they maybe know already?
Really, they know.
Yeah.
They know better than we do in many ways because there's no, oh, well, I prayed for this from God. God heard this prayer and then answered that prayer because I said those words that way. They know what we mean. They communicate on a whole different level. And so if you pray, silver Honda, and your intent is, you know, I want to make that person jealous because they just got one. They hear that. Even though you don't want to admit it to yourself. So you would start getting those lessons that are not punishments at all. But because you're on a spiritual journey, they're to help align you with the greatest you. Not just the you that owns a silver Honda. The greatest you that is flowing such life force and such love that it permeates everyone around you.
And it's about not expecting as well?
Yes. Yes, that's this is why it's work.
Yeah.
The lack of expectation and the detachment from that. You could even see my body naturally did it when I was going silver Honda. I closed in, I made fists. That's what people's energy fields do. But if I'm like, I know that life just unfolds beautifully. I'd love for that to be a silver Honda, but whatever is perfect is perfect. And that opens my whole field. And then things that I hadn't even dreamed of come in. And that detachment from, it needs to be this way and I need it now, shuts the energy field down and it keeps you on a very narrow path. When you release expectation and you're not worried, you're not stressed, you're not controlling things, that's when the miracles happen. That's when you align with things that were just outside of your energy field and you just opened up to align with them. Detachment is one of the easiest ways to clear your field in the moment. And usually I find that when I get to that point, it's not a happy place at first. Because there's something that I'm wanting, even a feeling of peace, and it doesn't seem attainable in that moment. So it's frustrating. So what I do is I surrender my will to divine will. And that doesn't mean I give up all empowerment of myself because I'm just a lowly human and there's greater forces than me. It means that I surrender my narrow viewpoint to the greater viewpoint because we're all divine and divine will is within all of us. So usually when I'm at that frustrated point, I will sit and repeat to myself, thinking about something, I surrender my will to divine will. I surrender my will to divine will. And what I normally find, I can even feel it right here in the heart, in the power chakra, is I'll usually have some kind of emotional release because I'm giving up something that's imbalanced in my ego. And usually I'll cry or just feel like something released. And I may not feel immediately better. So it might take a day or two for my energy field to really settle. And then I will just, go about my business. Because it helps release. And then what I notice is very soon things come in. I had a very specific example of that recently. And my guides are not constantly telling me, oh, you need to go here and turn left and turn right and do this. And that's not empowering. So usually they'll only interrupt if I'm really screwing something up.
Are you screwing things up?
Sometimes I do. So one time I was about to make a move, and I was walking through the house, and I'm thinking, I'm going to do this right now. And they said very clearly in my head, just wait. And so I'm like, okay, wait how long? Wait for what? That was it. That was all I got. Just wait. And within 3 weeks, that whole situation changed for the better in ways that I could not have imagined. They did it again recently when I was working on something that I wanted to create, and I didn't think I was that stressed about it. But my guides came in and they said, that's 2 years away.
Oh.
And I thought, okay, well, I'm expending some energy on this, and if it's 2 years away, then I need to put my energy in other places. And so I actually had to mourn that and it took me, actually that one just took a couple of hours, because it's not like I was getting an answer of never. So I'm like, all right, I can wait. And I did I surrender my will to divine will exercise. And a couple of hours, I felt better. Within 2 weeks, that started manifesting, and it's now almost complete. And that was probably about 3 months ago.
So it wasn't 2 years away, but they kind of tricked you?
That's what I thought at first. I'm like, all right, you tricksters, what was that about? And they said, because they'll talk freely if it's about empowering me. They said, that's why when they said, just wait, I'm like, for what? How long? They were like, zip it. So I said, why was that given as 2 years when clearly this is manifesting now? They said, the way your energy field was working with it, it was 2 years away.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
Totally.
All I had to do was open up and not stress. And it was a vague one for me because I didn't realize how much I was trying to create something and put it in a box. And then once I opened up, again, it's just things that I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
But is that why maybe if you go to a fortune teller, she can tell you something because you're in a place right then and there that maybe, you're very emotional, but the next day it changes, and that means that your future changes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. They read a potential in a point of time, and then what you do with the information changes everything. So if they say, this is going to happen, next, with that information, you can start to create and shift that in ways that you want. Now, again, it's your will and divine will, which is the same thing. But when you're on a spiritual path, you are naturally opening yourself up to more of your divine will rather than your human will. So everything becomes about balancing your ego, even if you're not trying to. And so you start to shift the things that they said. And I believe that sometimes we're even given those messages to do that, just like this is 2 years away. So I don't do psychic readings anymore because I focus on the healing, but psychic information is always part of it. But it comes through to empower people. So sometimes they're given this is your potential on this path. And then it's up to them to start to shift it. Now, of course, because I have a healing bend, I don't do just psychic work. That's what the crux of my work is about, is teaching people how to do that. In fact, when I first started doing healing work, it was so much easier to zap stuff out of people. Like, they would have something physical and they'd sit on the table and boom, it would be gone and it would stay gone. And then as time went by, the healings wouldn't last as long or they wouldn't be as dramatic. And I would ask, what's going on? Of course, I went to myself. Do I need to do something differently? And because I know it's not me doing it when it's something positive that happened, but it took me a long time to learn that it's not me doing it when something doesn't happen. It's always the person healing themselves. So what was happening was humanity was reaching these plateaus of empowerment where as a collective, we're wanting to shift things enough that we have to become personally responsible. So my guides were saying, The time has passed where you can easily take things out of people. You have to teach them. Now, that doesn't mean that things don't miraculously change. They do still. But if someone has a life path where they're needing to empower themselves, the healings will last for a while and then go away, or the healings will not be as dramatic because there's work that they have to do.
Will it get easier in a way?
It does. It does. It takes a lot of patience and practice in the beginning, but that can be fun. And then the patience doesn't seem like drudgery and the practice doesn't seem like work. You start to observe things that maybe would have been a challenge before or are challenging now, and you see that they move more quickly. You see the benefit of the experiences that you're having, and then you're like, oh, yes, if that's what challenge is, I can do that. You know, it was like that's 2 years away, and I had to mourn that. And then it started manifesting so quickly after that. It wasn't, bluebirds floating something in. I still had to do work, but it was invigorating. It was enlivening and exciting how things were going to turn out. So that's how it gets easier, but you really have to make the commitment to seek that detachment with everything. And the caveat is you feel like you're giving up or surrendering in that negative way. But all surrender really is opening to new possibilities. It's letting go of mental control and opening up to that freedom of the heart.
And I would like to speak about a rather huge topic, good and bad, evil and love. How can we see everything with love? And we still live in this duality, with good and bad, because there is no good and bad, but it seems like things are pretty bad sometimes.
Yes. Well, you said it perfectly. You said good and bad, evil and love, rather than good or bad, evil or love. So that's the thing is I view everything as love. But there are all these gradations of it. And so on one end of the spectrum, you have the love that feels wonderful and is pleasant. It's a sweet, innocent baby or a butterfly or something like that. And then on the other end of that spectrum of love, you have the person that harms another or the war or something tragic. And when I'm in those altered states, especially, is when that's easy. When I'm not, that's where I have to do that work to remember. From a human standpoint, when you view those logically, you look at one and go, well, I don't want that in my experience. And that's where you are empowering yourself, you're empowering another, and you're making a choice for your own progression, your own ascension. When you do that with that's wrong and that person now needs to die because they did this or did that, that's when you've gone outside of your own experience and you're controlling another's experience. And that's when that good or bad or evil or love starts to overtake you, rather than what you're thinking is happening is punishing that person. It's actually punishing you. I just saw a beautiful video recently that was emphasizing this for me. There was a serial killer that was at court, and all of the families of the people he had killed were getting their chance to talk to him. And they were, of course, saying horrible things. And you can imagine. I mean, these people lost their children. And they were damning him to hell and this and that. And he sat there stone-faced. Well, he's not someone that has a normal mental process like we do. Then this one father who lost his daughter stood up and said, it's going to make me verklempt. Woo! He said, you've made it very difficult for me, but I can't hate you. I want to forgive you. I know that you're a child of God and you just made a mistake and got off track. And that was the only thing. That serial killer finally started crying and bawling, and people were saying the worst things to him. And that one man was the only one that got in to forgive him. Now, those are the kind of things where doesn't it make you verklempt? It's like, whoa. I compile those stories, which I learned from a wonderful friend of mine. She calls it extreme forgiveness. And
that is extreme forgiveness.
yes, and I started compiling some of those stories in my head of people that really took the step to make a change, because it's so natural to go, I hate you for that. That was horrible. That caused me so much pain, and I hate you for causing that pain. It is the harder thing to say, I forgive you. I myself have done things that caused people pain, not to that extreme, but a look on your face can sometimes traumatize someone and you don't know it. But that's a very extreme one. But if someone can forgive, what happens energetically that I see is it just melts this whole rigid template. And this whole healing happens that filters out, that people are unaware of because they don't see the energy behind things. But that changed, that man right there forgiving that serial killer, that changed his ancestry line. It changed the ancestry line of the serial killer. It changed the past. It changed the future. And there are potentials that were going to happen because of that energy that was present here on earth, that was released because of what he did, was released because of that forgiveness. When you start seeing energy in that way, and you see the importance of forgiveness and the importance of the choices that you make that are love-based, it changes everything. But it takes practice, because I still have times where I'm like, oh, I can't believe this person did this. And I'm like, wow, that guy can forgive this, and I'm mad about that. And so, not in a demeaning way to myself, because that's not helping anything, like I should be better. I just teach myself to be better. I teach myself to be more the way that I want to be, which is more forgiving. So first, I forgive myself for feeling that way. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. I just want to move into feeling a different way as soon as I can. So it's that love is the only thing that ever really changes things. When there's a war somewhere and there's backlash for it, or there's terrorists, so we have to now control this, and we're going to go in and bomb there because there's a terrorist thing there. All it does is create the same energy. It just allows the same thing. And it's very frightening for people to forgive or let things go. And it's counterintuitive to everything that we're taught here in these societies. Oh, you have to protect everything. You have to work hard. And work should be joy. And protection should be something that ends up empowering all.
But is it because we're maybe afraid to say that what you did is okay? I accept it, when you kind of don't accept it. Right. It's not okay what you did. Like, I was actually talking to my parents yesterday about forgiveness, and we were like, what is really forgiveness? Is it saying that it's okay? Or is it just saying you did something bad, it did hurt, but I let it go in a way?
Forgiveness is for, this is the way my guide said it, and actually there's something coming up in a light blast about this soon, because I can remember writing it. They go out of my head and come back only when they get triggered. But it's not a new theme that's been in there. Forgiveness is forgiving yourself. It's giving something out of yourself. So when someone does something to you that causes pain, you hold that pain. It's in you. The resentment is in you. The anger is in you. The feeling of what you did is not okay is in you. And so when you forgive, it's not about condoning what the other person did. It's about letting that energy out of yourself. And what that does is it sets up this energy flow that allows that love energy. You're releasing the anger and the resentment, and it allows that love energy to fill that space. And in the Akashic records, or the records that hold all of the energies, the information of all the energies that are here that we're experiencing, that shifts the energy. Like as if you had a book that was talking about all the bad things people did, and all of a sudden that book was about good things. Or there was a chapter on good things. The book changes. Now there's 7 chapters out of 10, or, it changes the whole energy. So it's you giving energy from yourself that you then receive back. Now, the empowerment part of that is you are to make choices for yourself that please you, that empower you, and make your life what you want to experience. And therefore, if someone is doing something to you and you hold that boundary of, I'm no longer going to experience this, that speaks volumes to that Akashic record or that energy. And so you have absolutely every right to say, this is what I want to experience in my life. This is not what I want to experience in my life. And that has an energetic effect of empowering you. We touched on that earlier. It also has the energetic potential of empowering the other person. Because when you are interacting with someone, let's say a domestic abuse situation, you have an energy flow. Remember I said people are connected in all kinds of different ways through their chakras. A situation like domestic abuse, there's an energy flow that the other person is dominating from the partner that they're abusing. When that partner says, I'm no longer going to accept this, their whole energy field changes. Their flow, their connection changes. And so it's not that they should sit in there being abused and stay in that going, oh, I forgive. I forgive. No, hit me again. You definitely want to empower the self, but that's very different from holding on to that energy of hatred for another. Because once your energy flow changes and you're self-empowered, you want to make those choices that are going to continue that positive flow. And that's what forgiveness does. It melts so much energy that's harmful to our systems. Just as if you were to eat nothing but junk food, you're harming your body, your physical body. The same is true for your energetic body. Hatred, anger, resentments, fears that you're holding on to, it's the junk food for the energy system. And you empower yourself when you recognize that you can let go of all of that, not hold on to it. You're free from it and still hold boundaries of what you will accept from others. Life really is beautiful. I find myself so in love when I'm working on clients or doing group work or anything like that, because I get to see the divinity in everyone. And my job in my life is remembering that more and more. So I want to help people to look at themselves and see that beauty. So maybe take a moment and find that within yourself each day and really appreciate yourself. And then you're just going to flow that out to others. It's a really beautiful experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful meeting you.
And thank you so much for watching, guys. Much, much light from Sedona. Bye-bye.